I'm here with Shadow and Holly. Holly just wants this right here. That's all she's here for. So this is week 4 of us not doing church services as normal. And I hope that it's been a nice break for you. So yeah, I know for some of us it's been difficult just due to having a small business or something like that, not knowing how everything's going to work out financially. For others, money hasn't been an issue. It's just kind of keeping busy. What do you do with your time? For others, it's been a whole nother thing, being diagnosed with an illness or being vulnerable or more vulnerable to the virus. All of these things, it's all been a big ordeal for everyone, no matter who you are. And this means that there are some of you who probably need help or need something done. If you need people who can get groceries, mow the lawn, or anything like that, go to nhaf.church/connect, and you will find that it's the only way to keep her from trying to play. So just go to nhaf.church/connect, and there are some people who want to help, and we'll get them in touch with you. If you're wanting to give, you can go to nhaf.church, and then go scroll down to the bottom. There's a giving button, and you can continue giving there. But this conversation I had was with our young parents. They have a whole different experience with kids and having to homeschool now, be teachers and employees and all this stuff. And so I had a lot of fun talking with them, and I hope you enjoy it too. Perfect. Well, guys, so we were already talking a little bit, but how's it going? How's everything with the quarantine? Melissa, you were saying that your work's crazy.
Yes.
Say more about
It's insane busy. Well, I work in a doctor's office. So even though I feel pretty safe because we're not in the hospital, we've consolidated offices and having to call every single patient and tell them where their appointment is now and when it is, and if they're getting a phone consult or just completely canceled. So it was really, really busy for about 3 weeks. Right now it's kind of mellowed out, and it's almost like the calm before the storm. Which is a little bit more eerie. We've had several people test, even that I work with, but right now everything's been negative, so that's been promising.
It's good.
Yeah.
Murray, you were saying that you're getting to teach the kids work from home.
Yeah, so like I said, with my job, thankfully they're able to let us work from home. So it gets busy with the kids because they got to continue their schooling, and thankfully they've had online tools that can help continue their education. And with our son's teacher is able to set up homework assignments for him to keep him busy, because if they have nothing to do, they go nuts.
Which I'm sure is just so much fun for you guys. But
there's been a learning curve with that too. It's been kind of crazy for that too.
Well, yeah. Speaking of kids in school, Clara, you have 2 in school. How's it going for you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat as Murray. I'm working about 45 hours a week from home, and also trying to homeschool the kids at the same time. So I have them set up on tablets, and they're able to do most of their work by themselves, but they always have questions and technical difficulties, and so there's constant interruptions and just a big learning curve, and really having to lean on technology, and it's been different.
I'm curious, how many times have you guys all heard mama or dad look like
every
a
5
child?
seconds?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's every 2 seconds for me.
Yeah. How's it going for you, John and Sarah?
Good. I've been working from home. I got my office set up in the guest room over there, and it's a lot of calls on the internet, and it's I don't know. I like interaction with people, but yeah, it's been interesting.
Different. Yeah.
I like my commute. It's great.
Yeah.
I actually do too.
Well, yeah, because so Melissa, you're still going into work, but you don't have to worry about traffic, do you?
No, today I got home in 25 minutes. I was like, yes.
Chloe and I
Silver
were driving one
lining.
day, or Chloe and I were driving one day, and we were like, it doesn't seem that different. And then it was, I think, 6 o'clock on a Friday, and I was coming home, and I was like, okay, it's very different. There's like nobody else. But well, guys, so here's our first question. We've asked everybody this question already and had some pretty funny responses. But what's the worst style that you have ever rocked in your life? And why don't we start with John and Sarah?
Okay. So if you've ever watched Full House, not Fuller House, not the new one, the original one, DJ, I dressed like her. So a lot of really colorful vests and my hair and side ponytails and crimped, of course. Very
Hold on.
stylish. Yeah.
I'm looking it up. I have never really watched Full House.
Just
Oh, okay. So like total 90s.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How about you, John?
I had hammer pants.
You had what?
MC hammer pants. And later on in high school, I think I wore Jinkos, the big wide leg jeans, and had a bleached tips in my hair.
I just saw the hammer pants, and I want to see a picture of you in those.
I'll have to find one somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, we have one somewhere.
Yeah.
And the bleach tips, the picture of like the 90s is the soft glow looking up at the camera bleach tips. Did you have one of those?
Probably. I had the sort of goatee that's all I
Ooh,
can grow anyway, but it's like right the little patch right there, and yeah.
man. John, we have to see pictures now. That's what I'm
We want
learning.
pictures of everyone else too, like
Yeah.
Barbara and Vicky. We need those pictures.
Yeah, I know, right? Claire, how about you?
I don't know. I never knew what to do with my hair, so I always had like awkward haircuts or bangs or things that I just didn't know what to do with. So that's why I keep it short now.
Yeah, I can't imagine you with long hair.
Good. That way.
How about you, Melissa?
Oh man, I knew this question was coming, and the first thing that I thought was I went through the big bangs, like the big tall bangs.
Oh yeah.
I got pictures actually. I don't know if this will
geez.
work.
Oh my
See if
goodness.
we can see it. I'm really curious.
So there's one, and that was just 1 year. There's another.
Ooh, like it's like they're going back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had that, and then I also went through the bright fluorescent neon colors. Like the sunglasses with every panel had a different color, and my shirts that matched. They're just bright. That's probably why I needed the sunglasses, because everything was so bright. But yeah, those were kind of what I came up with.
Wow. Well, okay, Murray, I'm ready to hear what you got.
Oh boy, you saved the best for last. Well, I'm gonna say the worst would be the Jerry curl, because I had Jerry curl, back in the day. That was the thing. Everybody had to have Jerry curl when my,
That's amazing.
you put that activator in, you put that lye, put the activator in, wash it out, and you go to sleep with a shower cap on, let it all gel in, and then the next morning you take the cap off and you got instant Jerry curl.
Where is that now? Why are you not doing that now, Murray?
That's because I have no hair now. That was back then. I got
Wait,
I got no hair. The hair you see right here, that's all I got left.
There you go. Yeah. You just transferred it. So,
Yep.
Melissa, did you meet Murray when he had that?
I thought you were gonna say hair. Yeah.
No, when he had the Jerry curl. That was before. Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
but I've seen pictures of him with like like the Arsenio Hall haircut, with the flat.
Oh
that-
yeah.
Yeah, but I think when we met, he just kind of, it was a little froed out a little bit because he could grow it, but
Not so much anymore.
Man, well, I love the fact that you guys were full 90s because that was just before my time. And so I got a little bit of like when I was like a kid, I wore some like pretty bad 90s stuff, but that was right before my time. So I had to look some of it up because I'm a little bit too young to know.
Did you look up Jerry Curl?
Yeah, that's why I started
Okay.
laughing because I
Okay.
finally saw it. But well, guys, oh, okay. So here, I'll share. I didn't share this last time. One of the worst things I ever did was, for some reason, I saw a picture of a guy with like blonde streaks just in the front of his hair, and so I did that. But the thing is that I always wanted hair that was like straight and would like come down, but my hair just goes up, and if it's dry without like any product in it, it just floofs. And so yeah, so I just had blonde here, black hair, and it was terrible. That was like in high school. It was like sophomore year of high school. So we don't talk about those days. But so the question I wanted to start out with, the rest of this out with, is how long have you personally been part of North Hill Adventist Fellowship? And so why don't we start with you, Melissa and Murray?
well, my parents originally started going there. I think back when I was rocking my big bangs.
Nice.
And I was probably in high school, and then I went away to college, and then I wasn't, really coming to church for a little while. But when we had Austin, we decided I decided he needed some sort of religion, and he didn't want to raise him Catholic. So, and I only knew Adventist, and so we chose North Hill. And so Austin turns 10 in a couple days, so about
Wow.
10 years. Yeah.
So you, maybe it was like early 2000s then you were attending, and then you came back
Yeah.
about
Well,
like
probably
2010ish.
it was probably a little bit before that because I was in high school, and
Yeah.
I've been out of high school for a little while.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's probably more like 22 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. I just hit my 10-year. It would have been our 10-year reunion this year, but now I feel old. So don't worry. I'm feeling it too now. So, so Murray, then you came around the same time, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was around early 2000. I mean, I went when we started. Was it? Huh? Oh, before that. No. Okay.
We came a little bit when John McClarty married us.
Yeah.
And we got married in 2004. So
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
North Hill. Yeah, it'd be around the same time when Austin was born. That's when I really started coming. So.
Yeah. Clara, you're probably the newest one out of all of everyone here. How long have you been coming?
Probably. Yeah, I think it's been about 2.5 years that we've been coming regularly. I'd come and visited several times before to play piano, like as a guest pianist several times.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, about 2.5 years ago, we transferred permanently.
Yeah, I remember that. And
Yeah.
and then John and Sarah, you guys have been coming. Is it the longest, or
It's
Melissa and Murray before you?
pretty similar to Melissa and Murray. I think it's about 10 years.
Yeah. And now this wasn't on the list, but Melissa and Murray, you guys met at Walla Walla.
Yes.
Which Murray had found out of nowhere. He was not Adventist and just found Walla Walla and came out there. Right? Am I right?
No, you're right. No.
And then John and Sarah, where did you guys meet?
At Walla Walla.
Walla Walla.
But I was the one who was not an Adventist and didn't know much about it at all.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that. And then, Clara, you and Lauren met at Sunset Lake, right?
Yes, we did.
Man, look at our Adventist institutions just working. So,
They work.
well, so in all of your time at North Hill, I'm curious, what's been a highlight for you? And anybody can start.
I would say it would be like the connections and the people that are there and that we have met and that we have formed bonds with. We kind of made most of our relationships actually go into F cubed at John and Sarah's house, and so we're pretty close with them. And I've always been close with Janelle.
And for anyone who doesn't know, F cubed is like a small group that John and Sarah have done at their house for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, a long time ago.
Long time.
And for me personally, I've been, on the women's ministry team for the last couple of years, and so I've kind of made bonds with them, and they're really cool. They call me the young one, so that's why I hang around. But they're always really open to the younger ideas and try and make it work. But it's the bonded friendships that I've made even through there that are what I think is most important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's great, Melissa. Anyone else, a highlight?
Well, I would agree with the connecting with friends. We made lifelong friends with a lot of people, but also being able to raise our kids in such a friendly church. Lily loves church, and I love that.
Yeah.
She misses it a lot. So we're ready to get back as soon as we're allowed to.
she wants to watch this.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, yeah?
She wants
my
to see
kids
mom and dad on TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The biggest highlight for me is music. That's what brought me into North Hill in the first place. So that's really important to me. And then, like everyone else said, the friendships. A lot of my friendships started in the music team, but then I branched out and made friends with other people, families, and the older generation, and kind of a little bit of everybody. And that's been really meaningful to me, is just to make those connections with people.
Yeah.
mine's been music too, and just getting to be involved. I've always loved playing music, and now I get to do it for fun. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
How
How about you, Murray? Anything?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I think for me it was the welcoming environment. It was strange to me at first, but definitely met a lot of good people in North Hill, and made some connections. So yeah, I love the it's like, hey, come on over. You're welcome. Come in.
Yeah, it's crazy because both Sarah, you and then also Murray, both have come in from being married and coming into an Adventist church, and unfortunately, there are plenty of churches that you could have walked into that would have been quite different. But it's a testament to the people who started this church and came before, that they had such a loving, welcoming environment to walk into. So big thank you to everyone who was part of that. But yeah, no, it's you guys are right along with what so many people say is a highlight, which is friendships and a warm environment, being in a place that's safe, and it's just like a constant in all of this. So what do you so you're all young parents in essence. You have kids who are all of them are below 10. No. Are Jaden and Ethan below 10?
Yeah, they are.
They're both, yeah. And then Austin's just turning 10.
Yeah.
And so kids below 10 right now, and which I'm sure is crazy and wild and awesome and
We just
exhausting.
locked the door.
Yeah. we heard
them
one running there, so we was like, better lock up.
Gotcha. Yeah, so all of you are kind of in this phase of life, and it I know it's affected your, I don't mean in negative or positive, but just in a completely neutral way. It's affected the way that you engage with church. It affects how busy and how much energy you have, all of these things. But what do you think that you as young parents bring to the church that other generations don't?
You mean other than the noise from the back row?
the kids.
That's a great noise because that means that the kids are there. So
We're bringing another generation of churchgoers.
true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. John and Sarah, what do you think? What do you think that you as young parents in your phase of life bring to the church?
I think we have a big desire to connect with people, and to form relationships, to help people, to serve. But then we're also trying to balance that with family life, and because that's our number one job right now is mom and dad.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Same thing. We want our kids to learn what we did, how we did, and having a church that can provide that is huge. And so if it needs to be provided, we kind of step up if it needs to be.
How about you, Clara? What are your thoughts on what your age group brings to the church?
Well, I think we're kind of in a unique position because we can connect with people of all ages pretty well because we're kind of in the middle. And I really enjoy that because we get along really well with the older folks because they tend to really like kids. And we connect well with the younger ones because we're not too far from their age group. So we kind of, we're in a position where we can understand where they're coming from more than I think the older ones can.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's been a positive for me is just being able to connect with all different age groups and have friends all throughout the church.
Yeah, kind of a not simply, but also a bridge in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Melissa and Murray? What are your thoughts on what your age group or generation brings to the church?
I mean, I would probably have to agree with what John, Sarah, and Clara said. I think that I don't know if it's just me personally. It's a little harder for me to reach out to people I don't really know very well. It takes me a little bit to become comfortable. But once I do, it's a little bit of a different person, I think, in some aspects. So trying to make those bridges between the generations above and below. Once I get there is super cool, and I really like it, and I want that. But it's a little harder for me initially to get there. But I think that we have a lot to learn from the older generation that they want to teach us. And I think we're really willing to learn. And I don't know if the generation right below us, I don't know how open they are to receiving it, just because I don't know them too well. But we are definitely able to pass it on to the kids we're raising. Like every day, we have that interaction. So that's what I think.
Yeah. Murray, any additional thoughts? You don't have to have anything. I just wanted to check.
I agree with everyone. I mean, I do think that we're building that bridge.
Yeah.
Connecting with people of different generations, and I mean, we as young parents have something to learn from the elder generation who have been parents before us, and we have something to learn from them. They have something to learn from us. So yeah, that connecting that bridge.
Yeah. I if I can add to what you guys bring to the church, what I see is I see like you all have a wisdom that you bring. We usually attribute that to an older generation because of years lived, but at the same time, you all have that too. And you also bring a sense of commitment to the church that an older generation has that, but as they grow older, they naturally move into different places, having grandkids, retirement, those types of things. And you bring a level of commitment to church while also still having to balance everything that I think is really important because as much as I love my age group, and I would say this in front of all of us, and I hope they all hear this, which is we really suck at commitment. and uh, and so what your age group does bring is this, like, there's this solidifying of the church because you're part of it. And so I'm really thankful you guys are part of it. Yeah. Now we move on to the hard part. What are some of the weaknesses? What are the things? What are the drawbacks? These don't have to be things that you're bad at. It could just be weaknesses of the time of life you're in. Or it also could just be things that your generation is bad at. But what are some weaknesses? And Claire, if you want to start.
Sure. I think just the fact that we have kids and jobs and everything, we're really, really busy. And because I know for me personally, there's
Oh, Claire, I think you glitched out on us.
There.
You're glitching out on us. This is the wonder of the internet.
How is it now?
Okay, you're back. So yeah, you might want to start from the beginning. Go for it.
Okay, so I was just saying that because we have kids and jobs, it's just we're so busy, and there's things that we'd love to do and be involved in and get together with people, and it's just so hard because we're so busy.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, John or Sarah? What do you guys think are some of the weaknesses?
I agree with what Clara said.
Yeah.
It's that constant balancing act, and we have a huge desire to serve and we want to be able to do everything, but at the same time we know that right now we can't.
Yeah,
we can't just be spontaneous.
Exactly.
We kind of have to plan for our plans to fall
everything has to
through.
be planned, and backup plans to the plans.
and
gotcha.
Yeah, so it makes it hard to hey, you want to do something? No, yeah, okay, maybe.
Yeah, it's hilarious because amongst the younger generation doesn't have kids, and the older generation, it's like, hey, does anybody want to come over for lunch? And a bunch of people are like, yeah, sure. Or it's like, do you guys want to hang out tonight? It's like, yeah. But for you guys, I'm sure there's a little bit more that goes into.
I mean, it still happens. We still do that all
with
the
each
time,
other,
but,
and then we all know that our kids are just going to be crazy, but we're okay with that because we get time with each other.
Gotcha. Yeah. How about you, Melissa and Murray? What do you think are some of the weaknesses?
I'm probably going to say some of the same things. Because, I mean, Melissa and I would like to do more and serve more, but because we're pulled in different directions with our kids, it makes it hard. She has work commitments, I have work commitments, and we're both committed to our children.
And then you got like Austin, who wants to do soccer and football and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure that's tough.
And then there was swimming too.
Yeah.
Had swim lessons. And yeah, it was it's
Melissa,
a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Melissa, anything to add? Or
I completely agree with everything they said. Everybody said. I think that, I feel a real desire to want to get to know a lot more people. But you see me kind of hanging out with the same group because we're the ones that, like you said, we're all okay with the noise. And we can be spontaneous as long as we know that it's going to be loud or the house isn't going to be completely clean.
yeah.
And maybe dinner is just leftovers, and I think that there's a lot of things we would like to do, but there's not childcare provided, so we can't. Like we have never gone to a Friday night cafe. We would like to, but we don't want to be disruptive.
Yeah.
And we can't guarantee that wouldn't happen. We would like to attend. We love the small group that we're in, but it's always kind of the same people. And we'd like to interact with the other ones, and kind of bridge those gaps between the generations. But we're not going to show up with 2 kids, So
yeah, that would make it very tough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So here's another question, because I think I've seen all of those things, and again, it's not that you guys are bad at it. It's that there's a natural reality of the life of the phase of life that you're in that really causes limitations. And that's not necessarily bad, but it does cause limitations. And so, but here's my other question. What are some of the things that are misunderstood by an older generation or a younger generation about you? And it could be the phase of life you're in, or you as a Gen X millennial, wherever you fit into that. Like, what do you think are some of the things that are misunderstood?
Well,
Sarah,
for
you
me,
had
yeah,
talked about
me
this a little bit.
personally, as a stay-at-home mom, I think that sometimes people feel like I should have more time to serve at the church, and I do. I serve at the church, but I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom, and I'm up 6 o'clock in the morning or earlier, depending on when Evie decides to wake up, and I go all day.
Yeah.
I still have to plan lessons and teach and cook and clean and grocery shop and all of those things. My days are busy and full, even though I don't technically work.
Well, it's being a stay-at-home mom. Not that it's not different or wrong to not do it, but it's one of the most misunderstood roles in society. So yeah, for sure. I'm really glad that my mom chose to do that in the times that she did, because it was she worked really hard. But yeah, but I can also understand how you would kind of get you're just at home. So yeah. Anyone else? What do you think is misunderstood about your phase of life or your generation specifically?
Well, to kind of add to what Sarah was saying, I have a lot of people assume that I am a stay-at-home mom. So it can go both ways, that people just misunderstand what you do. And moms are working 24/7. It doesn't matter what kind of job you have, but you are always working.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just shouldn't make assumptions.
Yeah, there's not a break. If you are a stay-at-home mom, you're always going. And if you're a working mom and you come home from work, you still have to take care of the kids.
Always on the clock.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I remember we watched last week's with the younger generation, and they were talking about how busy they were. And Murray and I looked at each other and they have no idea,
Oh,
But then I was thinking, when you're in that phase of your life, it's just getting you prepared, because you have to figure out how to balance that, because this phase, there's a lot more to balance. So you have to go through that process. But there's days when Austin's doing sports, and right now he's the only one in school. We have one coming right next fall. And so he does sports. He wants to keep going. There's days we leave the house at 6:45 in the morning, and I don't get home until after 8 o'clock at night. And I got to figure out still, dinner and baths and it's laundry and dishes. And I don't know if it's a misconception, it's just reality.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It doesn't mean we don't want to be involved. It means we gotta pick and choose when.
Yeah, because you only have so much energy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think another common misunderstanding is, not necessarily Northfield, but churches in general, is, the fact that, you work, but you should also be able to serve in church. But I'm like, there's days where I come home and I'm like, I just got off a 8-10 hour shift, and do I really want to go back out and drive to church and do this? And I'm like, not really. Not that I don't want to do it, but I'm just exhausted from the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people I've had experience with in the church, I used to get a lot of grief for that, because, well, you should still be able to go and serve at church, even after you get off work. So it's like,
You're serving the Lord, Murray. Come on, what's more important?
yeah.
But yeah, but the role that you're in right now as a parent, obviously, and should take priority. I mean, your kids are going to remember you being there for them more than they're going to remember you. There's so many stories of pastors who they dedicated their life to the Lord and forsook their kids. So it's like, yeah, you can't do that.
And to Sarah and Claire, don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not working just because you're a stay-at-home mom. You guys work, huh? Well, I meant before, but I mean, you all work. I mean, don't let anybody tell you guys you don't just because you're, stay-at-home parent.
I think one other thing is it's difficult for us on Sabbath mornings to get to Sabbath school on time. And it sounds weird because we're on a schedule. Every day we manage to get out of the house on time, but like Sabbath is my only day to really just chill.
Well,
And
I thought kids were the most predictable thing ever. I thought that they always did everything when they were supposed to. They always were in the right attitude. I thought that was the way it always was.
yeah, sure. Go with that.
I imagine that because you bring up Saturday morning, that there's at least maybe Sunday is another day, but you're on schedule 5 days a week at minimum. Then you get to Saturday and you're like, I don't have to get up early. I don't want to have to get out of bed early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Sundays, but that's the day that we have to get every single chore done and the house cleaned, and then it's over and we're back to work.
Yeah.
So we are often not there on time for Sabbath school.
Yeah, it's just the Saturdays is like this. This is our day to unwind and kind of decompress from the week, and it's like, nope, gotta get up, gotta get the kids ready, gotta get them washed, gotta get them breakfast.
In the back of your head, you're like, this is what God created it for.
Yeah, rest. Wait.
Actually, can I ask you a question? This isn't on script, but how has it been not having to be at church, at church service? Has been a restful thing? Has it been, yeah.
I really liked it.
8 o'clock in the morning, and then boom.
We don't have, the kids can be in their pajamas and
The kids, what about me too?
well, us too, yeah. We don't
Wait,
have.
Melissa, did you just say you liked it?
Yeah.
Get out! You're kicked out. Get out. No, I don't mind it. It's great. But I imagine that with the kids and everything, it's far easier to just be like, oh man, we don't have to pull teeth.
They can be as loud as they want, and we just pause church, and then we take care of it, and then we unpause and we go back. It's been pretty nice, but we do miss people at church. All of our friends. We really miss that.
For sure.
So it's worth it, to go.
Yeah. Well, anything else that you feel is misunderstood about your generation, your time of life? Sarah, you had shared with me kind of being sandwiched in between generations. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Oh, well, there's the millennials, and then there's Generation X, and I feel like I don't really fit with either of those, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. There's a micro generation called Zennials right between those two, and so our childhoods, we didn't really have a whole lot of technology. That came in a little bit later. So we do have memories of life before cell phones and computers, those things, but it came around in like middle school, high school, and we adapted very quickly and learned how to use that. So I guess we have that perspective of both. We know life without technology and with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also because how many of you would be in the Gen X years or millennial years? Do you know?
I think we're all close to the same zennial.
Right?
Yeah,
Right in
I
between?
think I'm in the middle too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's a whole weird thing too, because really the two generations that are talked about are boomers and millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like this whole forgotten in the middle generation, Gen X or just before millennials. And I'm sure that you might feel talked past a lot. Is that true?
Maybe, but I'm okay with it. I don't need to be stereotyped.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting that there does seem to be most of the tension seems to be between those two generations with you guys in the middle. And so you're just sliding by under the radar, which is
Exactly.
that's good. Yeah. So what was it like for you growing up? And this is just a quick question. You probably heard on the first time where we talked to some of the older generation, some of the stuff that they were passionate about, they like really drove, like was a driving force for them in their life. What was it like for you in the late 80s, late 80s, early 90s, growing up? What were some of the driving forces for you, big cultural movements that you experienced?
There's a lot of
I
grunge.
don't.
A lot of
I mean, I was a
grunge.
little older, but the first thing I really remember, and like I said, I was in my 20s, I think, was a 9/11.
Yeah.
That was huge for us, and then obviously this. So I think of the big things that was pretty. I think the Berlin Wall was in my time, but I don't.
And
I don't
right,
really
yeah, right early on. Yeah. That was 89, I think. So yeah. Yeah. So like John, you mentioned grunge. What was that like? I mean, were you part of that? Was that kind of like it really hit? It really was something that what's the word? Hit the spot type of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, now that if I listen to lyrics and stuff, it's like, what was I listening to at the time? I don't know. It didn't. I don't think I resonated with the movement. It was just that was what we listened to. It was this is my type of music. This is what I do. But yeah, I think my biggest was also in 9/11. That was, I remember clearly getting woken up out of bed by my dad and just what just happened. So
That happened when I guess I would have been 8 years old. And so it hit, but like I was 8, what was it like for you guys to experience that? And then the wars that came after that and the general climate in America, what was that like for you?
It was scary. I was a senior in high school when that happened. So I was just getting ready, to go out into the world and become an adult, and to have that happen and just be so unsure of the state of the world, really.
Yeah, because it really kind of shifted. What was that, John?
It was very quiet. You'd walk outside and there's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I know that the world kind of shifted into, it went from like conventional conflict to terrorism was a huge focus at that time. Not that it hadn't been a factor before, but became like the major thing. Whereas some of the older generation would have grown up Cold War. That would have been their overriding feeling of, or the 60s and 70s of like, we're going to fight the man, that type of thing. But yeah, is there anything else that was kind of like an overriding thing that really hit you or affected the way that you might look at the world or think? Anything for you, Clara?
I don't have anything to add, really. I had the same experience that Sarah did, being a senior in high school with 9/11. So that was like the major event that was kind of shocking, where we really realized that how messed up the world was, I think. But other than that, I don't remember what else was going on during that time.
Yeah.
I think before that, Columbine. I remember we were up in Banff at some music band camp or something, and when that happened, and that was kind of huge.
Yeah.
Made us worry about school all the time. And who was mad about something or wasn't misunderstood.
Yeah.
So
Because it's so weird because my generation grew up where that almost became normal. But the shock of that happening wasn't the first time ever, but it was definitely probably the beginning of a whole new era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything for you, Melissa or Murray, that was like a kind of an overriding thing that really affected you guys? If not, it's okay. You don't have to have something. I just wanted to ask.
But I think both that were mentioned in Columbine, definitely 9/11. I was already out of high school when that happened, but that was pretty big for me. I remember Desert Storm a little bit, but
Yeah.
Well, with the Columbine thing, I mean, like I said, I was raised in Houston, so the school shooting thing, I was always around that sort of thing growing
Wow.
up. And 9/11 was an eye opener for me too, because when you looked at it and you see the Twin Towers burning up, you think, oh, this isn't happening.
This is
But it is. Yeah, you thought it was a movie, but no, it's really happening, So yeah, that really threw me for a loop.
I think for me, it was realizing that, the United States always feels like we were the most superior, and to realize that we can also be attacked. And then to have that be the last time that I can remember our country actually felt united, even all the way through like government. And it hasn't been like that since. And, everybody's like, we will never forget, but it kind of like we have in some ways because we're not united.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I grew up into it never really feeling quite like that. I had memories of it, of around 9/11, feeling like everyone was on the same page. But I thought that it was just kind of like, a dream picture of it. But I guess I was right. Yeah, that the country's kind of united. But ever since then, it's been interesting. And my generation also grew up where the United States never really was safe. And I think patriotism and love of country kind of has begun to dwindle in our generations. I don't know what it's like for you guys, but it's been different. So yeah, crazy. But I'm going to switch gears here and just ask, there's two more questions I want to ask. The first is, so what is your relationship with God like on a personal level? As a person, maybe it's affected by your age or by the time of life you're in, but what's it like for you?
Well, for me, I really like having my devotional time in the morning. It doesn't always happen, but I have learned to talk to God throughout the day and just have a relationship with him no matter what I'm doing. And I think that that's probably the most important thing that I have learned. And that's just from having kids, really, because I couldn't set aside this block of time all the time to focus on God, but to just be aware that he's always there and always listening.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Mine's similar. Mine is more revolving around music, of how I don't know how the lyrics can speak to you and I don't know, help with what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And any of my talking with God is usually just offhand. Why are we doing this? Why is this way? Help me get through today. Stuff like that. I'd like to get more into doing more devotional. But yeah, that's where I am now.
How about you, Clara?
My experience is really similar to Sarah's, that I've learned how to just talk to God all the time. And these last few weeks, that's been probably what's getting me through, because it's been really rough for me, mentally and emotionally, trying to deal with everything going on. So Definitely, I've been praying a lot more and claiming promises and Bible verses like that say, "Don't be afraid and don't be anxious." I'm really holding on to those things right now, trying to find hope and just like remind myself that this world is not going to be perfect until God comes back and fixes it. So that's what I'm really trying to hold on to right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Claire. How about you, Melissa or Murray?
I think like for me personally, I mean, every relationship kind of has a little bit of ups and downs. And I feel like that's kind of how my relationship with God is as well. It's like there's times where I'm closer and there's times where I'm farther away. And it's not like I'm intentionally pushing him farther away. And it's horrible to use the excuse that I'm too busy. But I know that there's times where I've fallen into bed at night. I'm like, I haven't even prayed, and sometimes I'll start right then and I don't even know that I make it through the prayer and I'm asleep.
You wake up in the morning and oh my
And
goodness.
I'm like, amen. But I do think that I've always tried to have that time that I can make just for him. But I think that sometimes because my life is so scheduled, I'm like, okay, I can fit it in right here. And I don't want it to be like that. And so I do feel like sometimes in my head, I do have kind of like a running dialogue with God sometimes. And that's kind of where I usually am most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and thank you for being honest. That is, I think, more people's story than people will willingly share. So I appreciate you doing that. How about you, Marie?
Most of the time, it's a lot of me spending time asking God questions, waiting for answers. Some time ago, I used to just write my feelings out, but then I just quit doing that. So now, a lot of the times, I just kind of spend time thinking of ideas or ways that I can contribute to make other people's life better.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in some ways, I'm doing some kind of a service for someone who might get some joy or comfort out of it.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah. It's such a interesting thing that all of us, no matter how crazy or busy things get, and it can definitely affect our relationship with God, but it is something that we always remember, even if we're not actively doing something. We're always kind of like, "Ooh, yeah, like there's that relationship with God." But I also I resonate with what you're saying, Melissa, where if you have to schedule it or things like that. For me, it's a struggle where some people really work well and they're like, yeah, like I get up at this specific time. I talk with God, and I'm like, ooh, that feels forced, for me personally. And so, yeah, and thank you for sharing, Murray, too. The idea of questioning is something that's taboo in Christianity because we feel like you have to be certain. But yeah, the idea of just like, okay, God, I don't have answers. I'm really frustrated, or I don't understand. That's a important part to to be in. It's an important place to be in. So thank you for sharing that. I just have one more question for all of you. It's, what are your hopes and your dreams for the church? You've heard an older generation talk a little bit. You've heard a younger generation talk. What do you hope and dream for North Hill?
I really hope that we grow as a community, and hopefully in the foreseeable future, make more contact, because I'm pretty sure there's other lost souls out there that are looking for someone to bring them in and give them hope. I mean, I was a lost soul,
Mm-hmm.
and North Hill actually opened me up. I mean, I was a closed book before. There's other people out there like myself who would like to see that light, And I think Northfield can be that.
Yeah, I totally. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Anyone else? Your hopes and for the church?
I want to see us connect more as the body of Christ. And then I think with that happening, that naturally we'll be connecting to other people out in the community, drawing people in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that need hope.
Yeah.
And I think we have that. And I think people like to come to our church, and I want to. There's coworkers that I've had that are anti-church because of things that have happened, and I would hope that that we can bring that type of person back. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like in Murray's case that that kind of already happened a little bit. So I think it can happen.
I'd like to see all of us, like, I know we've talked a little bit about bridging those gaps. Just have all of them bridged. I'd like to be able to have strong, bonds with everybody. I think that I would like to see us grow as a church, but we need to have a strong foundation together as a group before we can get bigger.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that happen as well.
Absolutely. Clara, do you want to close us out with thoughts?
Kind of the same thing for me too. Just in growing in all of our relationships with each other, like Melissa said, bridging the gaps and being able to be really close to people that are not of the same generation and be able to learn from them.
Yeah. Yeah. We have so much to teach each other. And so, so next week, actually, we're going to do an intergenerational panel. I'm excited about that. We're going to have a competition to see who's best. But no, just kidding. The opposite of that. We want to grow closer together through all of this. And it's been really cool. I just want to thank you all for taking time out of what could be a little bit of your break in the evening from the kids to sit down and talk. You guys are more valuable than I think you even know to the church. I love seeing your guys' faces when you're able to make it to church, to the church building, but also I've learned a lot from you. I'm so appreciative of the service that you have been able to do and that you have chosen to do. And I know a lot of other people are too. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. But yeah. Well, forgotten generation in between boomers and millennials. I hope that everyone else looks at all of you and is like, we're going to remember them because they're awesome. So yeah, well, that's it.